Cinema Classics is brought to you by the Gateway Film Center, 1550 North High Street, Columbus, Ohio. Further details and showtimes online at gatewayfilmcenter.org.
The award-winning Cinema Classics is produced by John DeSando and Johnny DiLoretto. Listen to the shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org. I'm Johnny DiLoretto.
I'm John DeSando.
This is Cinema Classics.
Oh, yeah, boy.
Tuesday
Ooh.
is the day.
I'm not making any predictions.
Oh, wow. I wish you'd make one. And I wish it would come true.
But, look, we always have movies to help us out with politics.
Right. Well, there needs to be a movie. I'm sure there will be a movie made about what has happened to America this past year.
All right. Can you think of your favorite political movie?
Yeah, I got a couple of them. My favorite, far and away, you can guess what this is.
I don't know, but I've got a photo of all the President's Men here.
It's not that. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
Right, yeah.
I think, there are two movies that define my politics, and this will confuse you and everyone listening. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington and Dirty Harry. I think those two movies pretty much sum up my worldview. But Dirty Harry. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington is so fabulous. Capra, again, people always sort of put Capra in this little box of sentimentality. I don't see it that way. I think he's pretty, actually, the sentiment has to kind of rush in at the end, if only to outweigh all the cynicism.
Yeah.
And I like that balance. And Jimmy Stewart is an American treasure.
Yeah, and maybe we could think of Obama in that way when he started out, kind of naive but idealistic.
Sure.
So
that's great. Yeah.
I think.
And then just every sort of compassionate gesture is just met with utter destruction and malice.
Right. And it's all done with such good spirit.
Yeah.
I think Capra is so optimistic about our country. It's great to see. What's your second?
I think All the President's Men is you're right. That movie is, actually more of a journalism movie.
It is indeed.
But
it forces the resignation of a president.
Yeah. It's amazing.
That's pretty big.
That movie is
stuff.
Still brilliantly suspenseful. Yeah. There's this conundrum when you know the outcome of a movie. Will it work on an audience? Will an audience still be, but that movie, no matter how many times I watch it, I go, wow, these guys are in trouble. They better watch out.
It is genius that we can be at the edge of our seats and something we know the ending. I think, too.
And let's just say real quick before we haven't even said that Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman are in that movie, and some of the best big male chemistry, on-screen chemistry of all time. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that, and you mentioned it. It is as much about journalism, and in journalism, and we are in a sense journalists in a way, that there's a lot of work, drudgery that's not entertaining at all.
Yeah.
and this film takes what is a whole bunch of small steps to bring down Nixon.
Yeah.
And yet it glamorizes it, it romanticizes it, and it draws us in. It's an amazing movie.
Right around the same time, either a year before or after, Redford stars in The Candidate.
Oh yeah,
have
for
you
sure.
Seen that?
Yes, of course I have.
That's a good one. Not a lot of people know that movie.
Yeah, I know.
But that's a great movie, great Redford performance. He plays a young idealist, kind of, shooting from the hip kind of guy. Honest, though.
Yep.
Honest
Yep.
and decent.
Yeah.
And he runs for office, and they're not expecting him to win. I can't remember. They run him for some other reason, so that there's some ulterior motive. They want him to pull votes away from somebody else, but ultimately he ends up winning.
Oh yeah.
And then the last line of the movie is, "What next?"
Well, I forget the year. Do you remember the year?
It's like 72.
Okay.
It's around 70. It's right around All the President's Men.
It can't help but remind you of Jack Kennedy.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think of an image of that movie, it is the image, almost a full shot of Redford and all of his glamour, and the idea that there could be glamorous politicians, such as he, that has now been planted.
But that character is very un-Kennedy-esque in that he's like a, he operates at a street level. He doesn't have a vision. He's not a polished politician like Kennedy was. In fact, in some ways, he's like the moral antithesis of Trump.
Okay.
He's a kind of a guy that,
Yeah, that's
he's
a good point.
honest.
Yeah.
And people like the way he speaks.
Maybe my favorite, beyond the couple that we have mentioned as our tops, is The Best Man.
Oh yeah, Henry
Fonda.
Yeah.
Yeah. And who better than Fonda against Cliff Robertson? It's a campaign.
Yeah.
And for president, and he is Fonda plays the straight up guy, and Robertson is the dirty player.
Okay.
And in there we have a kind of a Clinton-esque former president who's maneuvering things. It's really good. It's Gore Vidal is the writer, so the dialogue is crisp. It's black and white.
Yeah.
And it has all the tropes of a current election. All the contradictions that you talked about earlier in somebody who really wants to do right and do well, and is drawn in, has the chance to play dirty, and has friends who are not friends, alliances.
Yeah.
It's very. There's a lot of texture in it, although it's deceptively black and whitish.
Wow.
Yeah.
Deceptively black. You know, I'm surprised you used the term deceptively because it doesn't mean anything. I was confused by that one day and looked it up. Deceptively, if something is deceptively black and whitish, does that mean it's black and white? And you think it's in black and white, but it's in color? Or is it in color and you think it's black and white? Anyway, I've never seen The Best Man, but based on that, I've always wanted to see it. The Manchurian Candidate.
Oh boy. Now there's a really intricate, very scary, kind of, mystical almost, would you say?
Wow, well, it certainly taps into that Cold War paranoia about espionage and Russian sort of, the Russians infiltrating our highest levels.
Yeah,
Lawrence Harvey.
Lawrence Harvey, right, yeah.
And Angela Lansbury and, of course, Frank Sinatra.
Frank Sinatra's in that, yeah, excellent. What about, here's a more modern one.
Yeah.
That's as much about human beings as it is about politics, and that's Frost Nixon. And I saw that in London, and I saw Langella and British.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Anyway, I saw right. Michael
Powell. Michael something or other.
Right. I've lost sight of him. He could play the prime minister. He could play anybody. Anyway, so Frost Nixon, which is kind of introduces that whole idea of interviewing and confession. And so I found this riveting in that political sense, where it gets Nixon once again. Nixon is the object.
Yeah.
To confess to his crimes. Remember, David Frost takes him through several iterations of this thing.
Right.
So we get maybe the last episode. It's as if they had orchestrated it. And Nixon then, reveals that he had been involved in dirty. Anyway, that's the kind of really exciting political movie for me.
I see one peeking off of your.
All right,
there.
good.
JFK.
Yeah.
That's just such a fun movie.
I don't know if Costner has ever been better.
Wow, that's interesting.
Playing the district attorney. Wow. I just think he is.
He was on a roll there, man, for a while.
Yeah.
Costner was one of our great movie stars of the 90s. That movie's just so much fun.
Yep.
In a dark and sort of twisty way. Oliver Stone at the top of his provocateurish game.
Oh, good.
And what a star-studded cast. And it used to be star-studded casts would sort of pull your attention away from the narrative or any sort of intricacies in the narrative that were happening. But in JFK, these faces just kind of all blend into this really great tapestry of deceit and big power players.
Oh, and I think
up to no good.
The presence of Oliver Stone helps to mitigate the power of the stars. And you put together director and stars, and you have a terrific film with a topic that will never fully be satisfied.
Right. Just an aside and a note to use. We should talk about one time great directors who aren't great anymore. Like what's going on with Oliver Stone?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That'd be good.
Well, I think there's one great political movie
No,
that we
one
have
left?
talked about before.
Okay.
That kind of is the end of all political movies. And that's
Yeah.
Dr. Strangelove.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. And one more real quick. I just
Oh,
wanna
here
say.
we go. See,
I'm sorry.
I knew it wouldn't be the end.
I think it's worth mentioning. Bullworth.
Oh yeah, with Warren Beatty.
Yeah.
Right.
What a
Good
little
one.
weird little movie.
Yeah, boy.
He like just kind of slipped in there, and then in the late '90s.
Oh yeah. I think also your boy De Niro in Wag the Dog.
Yeah, I've never seen Wag. Oh no, I've seen Wag the
Yeah.
Dog. Barry Levinson. Yeah.
I think so.
It's been
Yeah,
a
yeah.
while. Mhm.
Yeah. It's been with that.
So I mean, we could go down a rabbit hole of this stuff. Anyway, here's hoping that Tuesday's election ends in some real fireworks that will be the ending to a great movie one day.
Maybe because I already know the ending, but I'm still excited.
Yeah.